Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're good to go then.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be listening to another episode of the Non-League Nosh. I am James, and as always, I am joined by my colleague Adam. How are you doing this evening, sir? You well?
Yeah, very good, thank you. As always, and I've missed 2 already out of this little run. So, I'll try and be here a bit more often. Sorry about the last one, mate.
Yes, you missed an absolute cracker last time. We had Paul Hayes on the podcast, ex-Norwich, Scunthorpe, Barnsley player. Some of the stories that he was telling last time, you missed an absolute corker.
Absolutely no holds bar.
When
I listened back to it, he just went in.
Yeah, I don't know if you've listened to it, Macca, but honestly, some of the stuff he was saying, he had a go at like Nigel Worthington, he had a pop at. Brian Laws, he had a
Phil
pop
Brown
at.
that he absolutely dug out.
Yeah, Phil Brown, he had a pop at as well. There was so many people that he was just like having a go at. And I was just like, at one point I was thinking, God, we're 2 hours into this. So I was just like, I can't stop him. He's just on a roll. I'm just going to let him carry on. He's just.
To be fair, I've got to follow him, have I?
He spoke quickly as well. It was like 2.5 hours, and he spoke fast.
Yeah.
If he was a bit slower and a bit more measured in what he said, I think it would have taken a day to get out.
Yeah, I know, it was absolutely crazy, but yeah, if you haven't seen that, go and check it out. But before you do that, you're going to want to listen to this one because we have got none other than old Newton manager Macca on the show. How are you doing this evening? You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. Yeah, you boys all right?
Not bad.
Fair enough. The weather's helping, I think, right now.
Yeah, it's got to be some positive out of it.
Yeah, this is as good as a summer holiday that I think we're going to get right now. You go abroad and don't get weather like this.
No, so how are you finding things at the moment, Macca? Obviously in lockdown and whatnot. How are you handling things at the moment?
Surprisingly, all right. I'm not used to staying in and being told what to do, but yeah, I'm finding it all right. It's getting a bit much. I love my kids to bits, but it's getting a bit much spending 24/7 not getting out. But
yeah, I think Adam's starting to feel the same, to be honest.
You know what? I'll never ever moan about the cost of childcare in my life again. If anything, I'll pay him triple. Like honestly, like we don't know how good we've had it.
Yeah, obviously, you don't have to go into your specific job, Macca, but with your job, I'm guessing you can't. There's no way you can kind of work.
Part of the building trade, so
right. Okay.
We're put on furlough at the moment, so
right.
waiting for the call to go back. But it's a bit of a pain because obviously the schools are shut, so it's a bit of a sticky one at the moment.
How are you? Before we kind of crack on too much, how are you kind of finding things without the regular football fix as well? Obviously, it's affecting a lot of people, isn't it, at the moment?
Well, if you haven't noticed, my football fix has taken over with TikTok at the moment. It's just keeping me going.
I heard you're a bit of a sensation earlier.
Yeah, well, that's the only thing that keeps me insane. I think I've got to do something to keep me going.
Yeah, I think that's why we're doing the podcast, Adam.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I don't know what will happen when things go back to normal, but you've got to find something to keep you going, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
I have to admit, I am worried about that day where they go, actually, we kind of need you back in now. I've had there's so much calmness, but yeah, there we go. So we'll start off as we normally do with these podcasts. Adam, no extra questions chucked in. I'm waiting for your suggestions to come through, mate.
I sent some. I'd sent you some the other day. Some tweets. You agreed to them. You said, yeah, that's a great idea. I think you even changed a couple of them for the Paul Hayes one.
You could well be right.
Don't know what you're doing, do you?
No, not really, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
I've slept a couple of times since then.
They're on your phone.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Well, I tell you what, if you want to add any in, Adam, then feel free to. But we're gonna crack on. So, Macca, pub, bar, or club?
Ooh. Now I'm getting a bit older. I'd probably say pub, but back in the day, it'd definitely been club.
Yeah, good shout. Chinese or Indian?
Indian all day.
Ooh, interesting. Adam,
You're in the minority.
Reaction to that.
You're in the minority.
Well, he likes Chinese, do he?
Yeah.
On this podcast, we mainly get that, yeah.
Chinese is quite a heavy heavy favourite on this podcast, and I've got to be honest. I think it's the easiest one to go for. I said, I spend too much money on an Indian.
I've had some good Indians though with the lads, so yeah, I'll take an Indian all day.
It's a good one for the football team, isn't it? Get everyone around the table.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Good man. Favourite biscuit to dunk? Now this is the one that always causes the drama.
I like a hobnob.
Yeah, yes. that's Adam's go-to as well. So.
Team hobnob.
Well, I was going to ask Instagram or Twitter, but I'm going to add TikTok into the mix as well. So Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok.
There's only one winner at the moment, mate, and that's TikTok all day long.
Do you know what? I really need to download it. I need to get in.
Mate, if you download it, you'll probably be a secret follower. A lot of lads around here are, because they try and act like they're not, but they are.
Honestly, my wife is just sending me videos of dancing dogs and stuff all day long now at the minute. She's absolutely hooked on it.
I haven't tried that one.
My sister makes a load of them and just sends them to me on WhatsApp. I still don't know what the hell it is, but I might give it a go at some point this week. Favorite music genre? We've changed it up a bit because people were struggling with the bands, weren't they, Adam?
See, it's on the same message as that where I told you to add questions.
Yeah, I like garage, R&B.
Yeah,
nice.
That's my generation. So
yeah.
Paul Hayes was on that as well, wasn't he?
Sorry?
Paul Hayes was on the garage as well,
he was all over that, to be fair. Favourite box set?
Oh, it's got to be Power.
Don't think I've seen Power.
I don't even know what that is.
What is that?
You've never watched Power? Come on.
No.
Mate. Oh, you're joking. You've never watched Power?
No.
Oh, you've got to watch it.
Add it on the list. What can I get it on?
So kind of just give us a brief, what is it? I've never even heard of it.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, great.
I can't believe you never watched Power.
Well, I've got Netflix. I might watch over the next couple of days.
I'll give it a couple of episodes once you get into it. It might be yours. It might not be. I don't know.
I'm watching Ozark at the minute. Absolutely stunning.
I've watched some of that. Yeah.
Yes, so addictive.
Nah, I haven't seen that either. So, favourite film?
It's got to be. Oh, you caught me there. Step Brothers. Yeah.
Good film.
To be fair, that is a good shout. Cats or dogs?
I've got dogs. I'm saying a dog all day.
Yeah. Sky or BT?
I haven't got Sky, but I had Sky. I'll say Sky.
Yeah.
Sky's better, but it's just so expensive, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
That's the problem.
Both are. Yeah. Other than football, favourite sport?
What's that?
Other than football, do you have a favourite sport?
I like a bit of golf.
Yeah?
I do like a bit of golf, yeah. Not very good at it, but I'll have a go at it.
So, who do you support?
United.
Okay. Interesting.
James's FM save.
Yeah. Favourite player growing up?
Oh. See, I lived in Scotland for a little while, so when I actually grew up, I didn't move down here till I was about 10, was Ali McCoist. So,
what a player.
Stripping it back, yeah, I used to be a Rangers fan until I moved down here, so I'm going to say Ali McCoist from when I was younger.
What a shout.
Yeah.
I love that. Best player you've seen live?
Either Rooney or Ronaldo, I reckon. One of them two.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to do these ones just because I want to find out a bit more about your changing room, actually. Best dresser at Old Newton?
Are you sure I'm going to get grilled for this? Best dresser?
That's the best part of it.
Who do I say is probably the best dresser? They're all rubbish, to be honest. None of them have got any dress sense, but...
Love it.
I'll probably say Ramps just for the crack, because he tries his hardest and he wears the tightest jeans you'll ever know. You don't know how he gets in them.
Paints them on.
Yeah.
Worst dresser?
Probably Wes, my assistant. He comes out with some classic, like, he had some spliffy jeans on once when we went out on a night out. I don't know if you can remember them.
How recent was this?
He must have pulled them out somewhere from his wardrobe, which is
wowza, spliffy jeans.
Mental. Who sorts out the music in the changing room?
Well, it varies, but Southgate's in charge, but he's not a very good DJ, to be fair to him. He likes to think he is, but we have to keep telling him to change the track. But
Best dancer?
Best dancer? Cool. I'd have to swing myself in that category, to be honest.
Nice.
I'm a bit of a mover. Probably say Chickenhead. Luke Austin's not bad.
Chickenhead.
I would like, yeah. Don't know if I'd say I'd like to see him dance, but I can imagine he'd be quite a good dancer. Who can't handle their drink? Who's the one liability in the group?
Who's a lightweight? Probably me.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, when we went to Portugal last year, I didn't make the first night out because I got so smashed, and then I ended up spewing up at 7 o'clock and just laid in bed for the rest of the night. So yeah, I'll take that one.
Brilliant. Best trainer?
Probably over this year, would you say, or?
Yeah, we'll go with this year.
Season.
Go with current crop, yeah.
I'll probably say two people. I'll probably say Ben Robinson.
Yeah.
Robbo.
Yeah.
And I'll probably say Callum Dongray because he comes most weeks for a big lad.
Yeah. And worst trainer?
Wayne Proctor. He tries to make excuses up that he's his missus is working, but what he don't know is, and what the rest of the group know, is that he's in a snooker league and the snooker fixtures come out and it tells you when he's played. And it happens to be on a Tuesday night when we're training, but he reckons he's looking after his kids. Well, he's been playing snooker most times.
Brilliant. And the final one on this one, best moment at the club today?
Winning the league all day.
Yeah,
winning the league, definitely.
Good shout. Adam, did you appreciate some of the extra questions in there? Did you like those?
Love it. I like getting to know the dressing room as well. It's decent.
There you go.
It is a good dressing room, mate, honestly.
We'll talk more about that towards the end of the podcast, I'm sure. Yeah. But I'm glad you liked him, Adam. Any of the old Newton boys who want to get involved in the conversation, over on Twitter, you know where to find Macca. Right. Let's move on then, Adam. First topic of conversation for tonight, I want to get into the decision around the SIL at the moment. We found out probably about a week or so ago that the SIL has decided to follow the footsteps of the senior division because under the FA's decision, it's step 7. It has to fall under that category that Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, etc., were going to be expunged as well. Very keen to get your thoughts on this, Macca. Do you think do you think the FA have made a right decision? We'll briefly talk about that. And then secondly, do you kind of agree with the SIL in, because the senior division has been, that the rest kind of have to follow suit?
I don't agree with any of it, to be honest. I think it should have been done points per game. But
yeah,
if you look at the leagues, most teams, Cranes, for example, they could have been caught, but they've had an unbelievable season.
Yeah.
So if you've done it points per game, then rightly they're champions. So and Westerfield will be relegated, and then so on and so on. So the teams that are fighting, people can say, but there's still games left, blah blah blah. But you can't promote teams now after saying it's a non-void. I don't think it's not fair on the teams that can still get promoted and some that can still get out of relegation. You've either got to make a decision or not stick by it.
I think the league that you reference is a really good example for the points per game argument, because at the top you've got people that they've done so well this season. It's been incredible. But at the bottom you've got a team that have really not been able to do much at all. And there's just absolute punishment at the top end and unbelievable reprieve at the bottom end. You've really got both sides of that coin in that league, and points per game, I think, in that league in particular would have been the best way to settle it.
Well, I mean, it's the thing, because obviously step 7 being the senior division, that is kind of is taken out of the SIL's hands, really, isn't it? there's not anything that they can do about it. But the other leagues, I suppose. I mean, if I just quickly look at Division 1, there are still. I mean, possibly Sporting might have been able to catch Halesworth, but realistically, would it have happened? Probably not.
That's what points per game would tell you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've only seen the points per game on the senior division. Someone has done it, and it does quite clearly show who would be at the top and at the bottom. But again, towards the bottom, I mean, it's quite clear who would have gone down. I don't really think there's much argument around that as well. But it's interesting because, in the statement, and I have seen the SOL statement that they've sent around to clubs, is that they're going to try and fulfill the cup competitions for the semi-final onwards, which I don't really know how you can.
I don't agree with that at all. We had a meeting and we were talking about it the other day. I think the county are trying to play their cup games as well, I think what I heard. So they're going to try and play all the county cup games. But the longer this time goes on and no one knows when football is going to be played, players are going to want to move to other clubs. Players are going to, want to start fresh. How are they going to be able to play these games? And they're saying in pre-season, well, I just can't see it working, to be honest. If they avoid the leagues, they might as well avoid the cups and just restart again. It's a shame. Don't get me wrong, because all the teams that are in the semis and stuff like that. But how are they really going to manage it? Because for all we know, we're not going to be playing football till September, October. If not longer. It might not even start this year. So why not make that decision now, so players can plan what they're going to be doing? That's my opinion anyway on the cups.
No, I think the cups are an interesting one because there has to be an additional question in there as to why have the local FAs not called time on those competitions? Like, why have they decided to keep them going? And if it's because, clubs get an opportunity to win a bit of silverware and play on a bigger stage, well, the clubs that would have got promoted would have got a chance to play on a much bigger stage if they could have gone up another division.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think most clubs would rather do one season at a higher step than they would have one game at Portman Road. I don't know.
There must be a reason that we don't know why they're hanging on to these cups. It might be financial money that, semi-finals, finals bring a bit of money into the county. I don't know, but I don't see why they're still hanging on to the cups. I really don't.
Yeah, it seems a very bizarre. It seems a bizarre way of being able to sort out cup competitions by it being a pre-season, because, as you quite rightly said, we don't know when this is going to be starting. It may be in 3 months' time, it may be in 6 months' time, whatever the case may be. And it is a very odd decision to make, to say that, I said, as Adam quite rightly said, the leagues are going to finish, and yet the cups are still going to continue. That part I don't agree with, but they have talked about the potential of teams being moved around divisions because of the number of teams that have dropped out as well. So there potentially still will be relegations and promotions as well. I mean, where do you kind of sit on that, Macca? This is the part that I really find quite interesting.
The thing with that is, and there'll be a lot of managers disagree. The people that are pushing for promotion, they're going to disagree. They want to go up, which is fair enough because they're fighting for everything to go up. There's still going to be a team, like you've just rightly said, like Sporting 87, who, they've still got to play Ransons and they've still got to play Halesworth. So they could beat them and they could still go up. So they're not going to agree if the league turn around and say, well, Halesworth are top of the league, they can go up. And there's people saying Westerfield are struggling, they should be relegated. But Westerfield might want to stay in the league. They can't have a worse season than what they've had. They can't, and there's no disrespect to their players or the team or whatever. They can only go forward in my eyes. They can only go stronger and stronger. They can't go backwards anymore. We scored 22 goals past them in 2 games this year. That won't happen again.
No.
So the teams down the bottoms. What I reckon they should do is just scrap it all. And to be fair, is just start all over again and just keep the leagues as they are. Yeah, the senior league's one team short, but just play a season and then promote an extra team if you have to, and then filter it through and just do it for 1 year.
Yeah, because if you look at for example, with the Division 1 side of things, if you then turn around and say, well, Ransom's at the top at the moment, let's promote them as the extra team, Halesworth will then turn around and go, well, actually, hang on, we're 2 games behind them.
Yeah.
And if we win both of those games, we go ahead of them. So
just keep it the same. Why not next year promote 3 from Division 1 and then 3 and just go up with 3, and then give more chance for teams next year to get promoted.
Yeah. I don't know if I sent you this statement, Adam.
No, mate, you didn't.
Beforehand. But they've basically said that what they're going to do is they want to align the division so that they want it to be as fair and as competitive as possible week to week, is what they're saying within the statement. So they're going to sit down and have a meeting about whether or not certain teams can be promoted, whether or not certain teams should go down, as Macca said, based on, I think Westerfield is the clear example of what they're looking at in terms of being competitive. And then they're going to ask the clubs whether or not they want to go up or whether or not they are happy to go down. But ultimately what it says in the brackets is although the league management committee reserves the right to have final say on the proposal. So it's leaving things very up in the air as to how things are actually going to be managed.
The thing is, with that statement, though, that is complicated because what they're saying is that they're going to then, if they're going to make their own free will judgment as to whether or not people can compete next season, that's just out of order because, like Mac has already said, like you'd expect Westerfield to build, if anything, and have the stepping stones in place to have a better season because they can't have a season that's any worse. You can't then just make some judgment afterwards because they were in that league through merit one way or the other anyway. And they weren't removed from the start of this season because they weren't deemed to be good enough. So why use this situation just to kick them out? Unless they are literally saying, we don't want to do this.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, we don't know the ins and outs of what's going on at Westerfield. They might be quite happy to drop down a division. But if you look at it from their perspective, they are one of the teams that are going to benefit from the season being finished now because they can just turn around and go, well, look, any new players that come in, we're in the top flight. The season's been scrapped. We're starting from zero again. Come in and help us rebuild. There's not. We had Paul Granger on, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, where he was saying he was struggling to recruit people because they look at the league table and see them on -1 point. Why are you going to come to a team on that level? Whereas when you're at the beginning of the season, it's far easier to attract players in. So they're not going to want to go down, are they?
I don't think they want to go down. If I was Westerfield, I wouldn't. As a club, as Westerfield are. Why go down when you don't have to? At the end of the day, Division 1's a strong league. It is a very strong league. The senior league's strong, but Division 1 is a lot harder because every team battles against you. So if they go down, they're not guaranteed to rebuild and come back. They might go down again. But if they're in the senior league, like you just said, they can attract more players. They can start fresh, and like I just said, they can't get any worse than what they were. They can only go forward. And if they can pick a few more points up and get a little bit of spirit going, if you've cancelled the league and they're into champion and no one's getting relegated, how can you still relegate Westerfield just from looking at the league position? You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't stand. It can't stand because at the end of the day, if they're saying that, then why don't they give Cranes a title?
So when they're talking about this restructure, like Macca, do you think there's fear, like? Definitely not in the senior, I don't think. But like looking back, to be honest, like the SIL has had a lot of teams that have had to fall out. They've dropped by the wayside a bit. Do you think there is worry that they think they're going to have to do it because they know that through finances, there are teams that just aren't going to go the distance until we restart again?
No, I just think it's an easy way out, probably for the league to look at it and probably think, well, if we promote a team, but I don't know how they'd have to do it because there'll be so much uproar in it that you can't promote someone just from looking at a table. The best way would have been points per game, and then no one can argue because it's there, isn't it? It's there on paper. You can see what people have done through the season, and people can say, well, we had this game. We could turn around and say, we still had Cranes to play. If we won a game, we were 7 points behind them. Still had them to play. If we beat them, then they lost again. We could have took them all the way. But it is what it is. They deserve it at the end of the day because they're there. Blah blah blah. So, but
yeah,
you can't at the end of the day they've cancelled the league. I think the league need to just be strong and just start again. And it is harsh on the teams that are doing well because I've got a load of mates who play for Bedricks who are doing really well in Division 2.
Yes,
they could, or they should go up, but they're in the same boat. But like they're saying, there's worse things at the moment for teams and players to worry about promotion. And if they have to do it again, then you have to do it again, don't you?
I think it's difficult because I think the whole decision nationally could have potentially been influenced by the fact that you're talking about an issue which only really affects 25% of clubs in most leagues.
Yeah.
So you've probably got, say, on average, 15 clubs in a league that don't really give a toss about the decision.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult to get backing for anything when 75% of 75% of the participants of any competition do not care about the outcome because it wouldn't matter either way. And that's where you are today. So I suppose the only counter argument to everything that they're doing is that they could be looking at that fact that 75% of teams aren't really going to care what happens and going to say, could we step in and try and put some fairness around it because we're not bound by the same rules that leagues slightly higher up the pyramid are. But with the senior being included as step 7, it makes it a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I mean, personally, when I had the statement sent over to me, I kind of looked at the first part of it and said, well, the decision, it is fair to cancel the other divisions based on the fact that the senior division has had all of its control taken away from it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could have the argument to say that potentially they could promote some of the teams up from Division 1. I don't know. There is an argument to be had there, but
it's difficult though, James, because
it's not. Yeah,
because they included Step 7 in the FA guidance as such when it got ratified. That kind of took a lot of control away from more local league structures.
Or do you think that was maybe done on purpose then?
Well, possibly, because that naturally forces the hand of local league structures, because if their top tier can't do anything and has to be void, then it restricts whatever they can do below that. And it means that the lower leagues of grassroots are then really just left in the cold. And that's not the idea of football, is it? It's meant to be something that's for the community and bringing everyone together. But it does feel like they've just been left to do their own thing.
Mm.
I think where the Ipswich League is, because Brantford folded, they're in a bit of a sticky situation where there is a team short in the senior league. So that's where they're kind of, I think if Brantford was still there and the leagues were all the same, they could just start again. But because there's a space in the senior league, there's teams obviously chomping at the bit to get into that senior league. So they're going to ask questions at the AGM or whatever and say who's going to take that position. And then they've got to make a decision of, do they relegate Westerfield and put 2 up, or do they just put 1 up from Division 1 and then filter it through so 1 goes up from each league?
As a interesting question around all this, obviously Cranes were leading the senior, weren't they, by a reasonable amount? They had a good season. So if they would have won the league, would they have taken promotion and gone to Step 6? Would they? Because it's optional, isn't it?
I don't think they would have.
No. It's something that you have to apply for, isn't it? To go.
You have to apply, and it's kind of a rhetorical question because I wouldn't have expected them to. And then you start thinking, well, how much length has that argument even got at Step 7? Because so few clubs have got the ability to be able to take on Step 6 financially, because it's a huge jump in terms of what's required by the FA. It's massive.
Yeah,
I don't think broader spectrum, I don't think people realise how much has to be done to meet guidance at Step 6.
Well, I suppose if anyone had made that decision to say, right, this year we're really going to go for it and we want to go up to Step 6, if they had then suddenly pumped a load of finances into it, then,
Well, still, there's going to be people that are extremely disappointed. No doubt somewhere in the country that's happened.
Well, we tend to see it a lot from the sort of Anglian combination, don't you? You tend to see a lot of those clubs trying to get into the furlough. For whatever reason, why they do, and SIL clubs don't. I have no idea.
Well, Sheringham did it, didn't they, last year?
Yeah. Norwich CBS did before they were Norwich CBS, and when they were Spixworth, they did it and changed a lot of their stuff as well. But yeah, I suppose if you had have made the decision before the season started that that is what you wanted to do, you'd be kicking you'd be severely annoyed at the current moment. But
it's difficult because I think it will affect everything in terms of like recruitment and who sticks around. Like I know a lot of people have said, "Oh yeah, loads of players they'll stay, they'll be up for the challenge again next season and stuff." But because you don't know how long it's going to be until everyone gets back together, I think like for managers like yourself, Macca, like you want your squad to stick together and everyone will come in. But say it's like 10 months before we can get back to football for whatever reason, is everyone then still going to be up for it, or are people going to start? Is it almost going to be a free for all?
That's the question. I think every manager's like obviously thinking this at this time. It's like, what do you do? Who do you speak to? Who are you going to keep? Where do you plan? When do you plan your friendlies? No one knows anything. And for me personally, it is a nightmare. I'd like to think a lot of the lads would stay, and I'd like to add a few to it, but I can't talk to anyone because I can't tell them when it's going to be. I don't. It's one of them things. You've just got to wait. Wait and see what happens. But for all we know, we could be speaking now, and we might not be playing football till next year or whatever. It might not even happen. So
that's a good point.
As a manager, that will probably be the hardest thing for any manager, trying to keep a squad of players together, even when you're not playing football for 6 months or 7 months. Because a lot of my lads, a lot of them will try and keep fit, but a lot of them will drink a lot and they'll eat a lot. So it's going to be a bit of a nightmare to keep them fit, let alone play football afterwards.
As long as they post the 19-minute 5Ks that everyone seems to be able to clock up. It's fun.
Let's talk about them times there. Where are these times coming from? Because there's a lot of people doing under 20 minutes here.
Who can run 5K under 20 minutes? It's mental.
I'd love to see proof of some of these times, I tell you.
But then you get the people though that are all saying, footballers play football, runners run, and it's like, there's a bit of envy amongst people around it. Like, but honestly, like,
I've seen some of them times come up. Not mention any names on Twitter, but they'll know who they are. But I've seen some of the times come up, and I've seen them play football, and there's no way they're running them times. No way. And I'd love to see it.
It's obviously
a goalkeeper running 19 minutes. You joking me?
Well, when you get him out of his moulds and into his running shoes, it clearly makes a difference.
I mean, what you're just talking about, Adam, raises it's quite an interesting topic because obviously we had Jamie Curison on a couple of, I think it was last week, wasn't it, when we did the podcast with him, and he was saying he's already been approached by several clubs. Asking what he plans on doing for next season. I mean, it's difficult because obviously the rules are, and as we keep seeing from Suffolk FA, they keep posting that you're not allowed to talk to people, you're not allowed to register until this date. But, first of all, the season's been expunged, so what difference does it make if you are going to talk to somebody anyway? But
it's the 1st of May, though, isn't it?
I think it is the 1st of May. I'm not.
When you can do it without you putting your 7-day in or whatever it is.
31st, wasn't it?
31st of May, is it? Oh, yeah, because it would have to allow for the FA Vars final. So, yeah.
That's never going to... If they think people are going to listen to that, that's a joke, because people don't listen to that.
I think that, like, if anyone... I said to James the other day, I can't wait for the FA to hand out their first conduct breach fine to someone that speaks out against all of this, because someone will crack eventually. Someone will say something about these rules publicly, and it's just everything's going to fall apart.
I love the FA to bits. They're a really good part of me, but I strongly don't agree with that.
Yeah,
I think like you say, the season's scrapped. Managers are, they're talking to their players at the moment. I'm not going to say too much about what I do, but
no.
But no, the 7-day rule is pointless though, because it's there to protect, but there's nothing to protect at the moment because we don't even know when the season's going to start again. So there's no reason for them to have to enforce it.
I mean, I suppose my question to you, Macca, at the moment, what kind of conversations have you been having with your players to kind of, I suppose from your perspective, find out whereabouts they're at. Have you got? Do you feel you've kind of got a strong unit together at Old Newton that people are going to want to continue playing for the club, or were you kind of building towards something this season, rather than next? You know what I mean?
I've sent them all a message and I've spoke to them all, and I've just said to them what we want to do next year. If they want to stay, if they want to leave, let me know early doors. And I've kind of got in there before because I know people will be in their ears trying to tap them up. There's teams bigger, higher leagues. They'll come in and just say, it's a 10 or 20 quid. Why don't you come and play for me? And you snooze, you lose. You need to get in there before other people do. And people say, they won't. People are doing it all over. People are talking to players. People are offering money now. They're setting it up so it's in line. The FA can put their rules or whatever on the website or whatever they're doing, but it ain't never going to stop it. People know what they're doing, and they're going to line their teams up. They're trying to get as strong as they can. Yeah. If I can keep most of my team together and add a few which I've got in mind, which hopefully will come off, then when we start, we'll be strong. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How deeply frustrated does that make you though, that you're having to play this balancing act, really, just to get inside your mind a bit? You're always having to do this thing of convincing people to stay, knowing that someone's out there saying, have an extra, have £5 here, you won't do that, have another £5 until they eventually prize you away. Do you just have to accept it that that's just the business that we're in now, or is it one of those things?
I'm fairly lucky when it comes to stuff like that, because the team I've got and the players I've managed to build around enjoy the club, and they enjoy the atmosphere and the team spirit. So, and to be fair to them, a lot of them have gone higher. They've played for Walsham, they've played for Stowmarket, blah, blah, blah. But they've stepped down, and to them, it's not about going and getting 20 quid or whatever, or 30 quid, even more somewhere. It's about going on football on a Saturday, going training and enjoying it. And they're having a beer with their mates and enjoying it after football. And admittedly, when you're winning, it makes it easier for me. And they want that. And if I see the messages that they're writing, I can't wait for football, miss you boys, we're going to have barbecues, we're going to get on it, have a good time and stuff like that. So they're thinking about it now, and they're thinking about the good times they've had together. It makes it easier for me to try and keep them together. But they're all young. They're all 26, 27. They've still got a lot of football in front of them. And if someone knocks on the door and says, come and play for me in furlough, which at the right club, there is some that they probably wouldn't go to, then they might think, I'm going to have another go at it. And with the time at the moment, with this little break, that might make them think, I'm going to have another go at it. But then on the other hand, there might be people who are playing furlough at the moment that want to step down and think, well, I've done that. I'm not prepared to keep travelling anymore. I want to go and enjoy my football. And with this time off, they might look at it and think, I've got kids, I've got a family, I'm just going to sit back and go and play for Old Newton or something like that, you see. So it works, swings and roundabouts in a way.
Yeah.
I think that there is the senior has got a bit of a threat on it, I think, in terms of players being taken away, because as we go on and teams' funds sort of dwindle a bit and contracts go and everything else, I wonder if in a way some players from the SIL will be pulled into the furlough none just as a way of maybe keeping costs down from what they may have been previously for a while. I just wonder if there'll be a big sort of merry-go-round of transfers just as a result of the fact that clubs won't have the money to spend on wages that they maybe had before.
Yeah, you say that as well, but with this break we're having, which we don't know when it's going to finish. Yeah. I can't remember how long it's been now. It must have been getting on 2 months since we played, or a month and a half.
Beginning of March.
So we're now 3-4 months down the line. There's a lot of players in the SIL Senior League at the moment that are getting to their peak and they're getting to the end of their career where they're thinking, this is where I want to win things. This is where I've got to do this. This is where I want to do this, and then I'm going to slow down. So are they going to get to that 5-6 months down the line, if they haven't been keeping themselves fit or whatever? Are they going to be able to do it? When football starts again, that takes a big toll on your body when you get a bit older. If you haven't kept yourself fit and you're getting a bit older and you're coming towards the end, can you be bothered to go again? Something's just not saying Cranes are going to do it, but they've had a brilliant season. They were on for the Senior Cup, they're on for the League Cup, they're on for the league. But for all them players, they might look at it and think, well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it again. We're going to go at it, and we're going to prove everyone that we can do it, which is fair enough, which they probably will. They'll probably stick together and go at it. But, or they could go the other way, and it might get to them another 6 months down the line, and no one knows what's going on. Is the league going to be played next year? Is it not going to be played? And then you're another year down the line, and then you've got to recruit more players. So it's hard. It's a hard one for managers at the moment.
Yeah, I think what you'll tend to find, and again, I'm kind of referring back to the conversation we had with Paul Granger, and he was saying, what you said is very true, Macca, that players will want to move now, and they'll want to go closer to home. And they want to be part of a group that's actually enjoyable playing their football, because when you go through something like this and the experience that we're all going through, you then just think, well, I'm not enjoying myself where I am at the moment. I want to be in a division or part of a team that is going to make me enjoy football.
Yeah.
And I think, you see that a lot throughout the SIL. One club in particular that stands out is Coddenham. Those boys really get on with each other. They really, really, they've got such a tight group there. They all socialise after the game, very similar to yourselves. You're in the bar afterwards. You're having a good time. You go out after the games, etc.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will think, actually, do you know what? For 20 quid, it's not worth it. I want to be with my family after the game as well.
Yeah.
I want to be closer to home. And the option with the SIL, you don't have to travel around a huge distance, do you?
No.
So, having that law might actually see a lot of people drop down rather than going the other way, trying to get an extra 30 quid in their pockets or whatever, whatever the case may be. I think you might actually see more people dropping down than you will see people going out of the SIL.
That's what I'm hoping.
But it's an interesting one. It's difficult, isn't it? Because really, as we've kind of all highlighted, we don't know when this is all going to end. So how do you even begin planning? Do you know what I mean? How do you even start that conversation? It's an interesting one.
I'd like to speak to someone that's a real glass half empty, negative Nora kind, who and just wonder if they're just doing nothing. Because everyone seems quite busy and having their ideas, but I just wonder if there's some people out there that are just thinking, "Oh, sod it, I can't be bothered with this." Because I think I like the fact that people are getting ready. I don't get me wrong, I think it's a good thing, but I bet you some people are going to get caught out when we do get, when the call comes through and they say, you can start on X date, and they'll be scrabbing around and calls will be going left, right, and centre. Some people will get disappointed, I think.
Well, it's, even on the back of that, if they do turn around and eventually say, right, this is going to be the point of when we start, it's going to be months and months down the line, isn't it? So hopefully, from that perspective, people will have the time to plan and prepare, because they're not just going to turn around and go, right, in a month's time, we're starting the season up again. It will be, right, we now feel that July, for example, is an adequate timeline.
Grassroots football will categorically be the last kind of football that goes back to normal. I should imagine. There's no budget or facilities to test people and all the rest of that.
It's all going to be based on when the Premier League and the EFL decide on whatever they're going to do. Grassroots is going to be, as you said, the tail end, isn't it? Really.
Because the Premier League could employ. I forget who I was listening to. It was one of it might have been Gary Neville or someone that's saying that they've got the finances to, pay for mass testing as such. But just imagine if Premier League players are getting mass test kits before the NHS are. Do you know what I mean? That gives you some sort of scale as to how far away we are. We can't even test our healthcare professionals freely yet. We're talking about football going back in June.
Yeah,
at a pro level.
There's something morally wrong about it, isn't there?
Well, yeah, and that's why it makes it so difficult, I think.
Yeah, interesting, but that's don't really know how you even go about doing it. To be fair, I don't even know how you go about preparing for next season. But
never in our lifetimes have we encountered anything like this, and not many people will have done. And with any luck, never will we have to again. But it's certainly a unique circumstance.
Yeah, definitely. Macca, I want to just ask you a couple of questions about kind of like your management career at the moment, and kind of how you found things. Obviously, we're all on pause at the moment, but when you were first asked to, become manager of Old Newton, did you kind of have any reservations about it? Did you welcome the opportunity? Was it something you were considering at the time?
I was coming to the end of me football. I think I was helping Crowe out at the time, actually, at Old Newton, and I think I turned around in a conversation, so I've got to get into management one day.
Right.
And then someone got wind of it, and then it come across as kind of like, would you want to be a manager, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, that's what I want to do. Next step is to be a manager. I think Newton stayed up. I think they finished third from bottom, I think, in Division 1. And then I took over from there, but I didn't realise what I was going into to start with, if I'm all honest. I knew they were struggling, but I didn't realise how bad.
When you say you didn't realise they were struggling, do you mean more off the pitch side of things than what's necessarily going on here?
Well, Stewie Ager took over from Dave Shave as chairman. I played with Stewie when we won the league at Old Newton, and he's a really organised bloke, so he kind of like spoke to me and said, "What do you fancy doing it?" Blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Yeah, but things have got to be put in place if I'm going to do it to attract players to Old Newton." I called a meeting for the players that were there, and I think 7 turned up for 2 teams. And I thought, "Oh, here we go. What have I got to do here?" And then that's when I realised that all summer I'd be chasing players and trying to get them to come to the club. And it worked out all right in the end, to be honest. Yeah,
you've obviously done quite well in your management so far. How have you done any of the courses for the FAs? What kind of level are you at the moment?
My level. I ain't done no courses at all. No, I say it how it is and praise them up and stuff. I don't know. I've just been in football a lot of years, so I just kind of like say it.
Have you got any ambitions to do courses longer term, do you think, or are you happy as you are?
I think I would do courses if I had the time and stuff like that to go to courses. And I do want to eventually step up, and go higher if I can at the right club at the right time. I've not made it any secret. I've told Stu and people that if the right club come along and stuff like that, then I'd take the job, challenge myself at a higher level. But I've still got a job to do at the senior level, which is one thing that I want to do, and that's to win that league. So,
big ambitions, then.
Got to set your ambitions high, ain't you?
Well, what was your ambition this season going in? Because you got promoted, didn't you, last season?
Yeah, we got promoted start of the season because we didn't really know a lot about the senior league because I haven't played in it for many years, not a few years, so I didn't really know the standard of it. Obviously knew Cranes and Henley and People Cops and that were good, but we set our standard out to say if we finish in the top 4, then we'll be happy, and then we can build from there. And we were finishing. I think you come and watch last game, didn't you? Against
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I think we finished quite strong towards the end of that game, and I think if for 5 more minutes we probably could have pipped it, but we were on a decent run of games going into the end of the season, and I think if we had 2 games in hand on Henley and Hawley, and we would have been, if we won them, we'd have been 5 points above them in second place, and then hunting Cranes down with a game to play against them, and they had some hard games, and anything could have happened. We had Cranes. I think we had Cranes this Tuesday in a night match, which would have suited me down to the ground with night matches because you can bring a couple of players in, can't you, to suit it? So
yeah. Yeah, the club didn't really have any sort of difficulties adjusting to senior divisions after a while. You kind of handled yourself, really well, to be honest. Both you and it was Bilston, wasn't it, that went up as well?
Bilston, yeah.
Was it, I wouldn't say easier, but did you was the jump up was it not as big? Not as big as you kind of expected maybe during pre-season.
It's a difficult one, really. I'd say out of the leagues, yeah, you've got your 3 or 4 teams in the league, in the senior league, but Division 1 is competitive every game. Every game is competitive, and a lot of teams in the senior league from probably mid-table downwards would struggle in Division 1. And I think teams like Ransoms, Halesworth, Sporting 87, the teams at Wickham Market now, they'd easily hold their own and probably be above mid-table in the senior league, if not challenging, and giving some teams a good game. There's such a difference between the middle and below the senior league to Division 1. Is the standards, it is a hard league, Division 1, and to get out of that.
We've seen with the 2 teams that left that dropped out of the senior division, both Grimsby, at the point of at the end of the season they were in 6th, and when Hastings were 10th. So 2 teams dropped out of the senior have really, I wouldn't say struggled, but they've not doing as well as they would have liked. Whereas as you said, for yourself and Bilderson, you were in 4th, 1 point behind Henley and Hawley, and Bilderson were in 8th. So the difference between, like you said, it would be interesting to see if they did restructure these leagues.
Even the Div 1 before, like Claydon come up and Trimley come up, and Claydon are one of the stronger teams in the senior league now. They're one of the teams to try and beat every week because people want to take points off them. You Trimley on their day, that they're a very good footballing team. Trimley,
yeah,
so they're going to be one for the future.
It's interesting, but obviously going back to your kind of ambitions, then would you say that once I don't want to kind of throw you under the bus here, but would you say that once you've won the senior division, you would then be looking to try and then move up the managerial ladder, or is that not really? It's got to be something where the club has to suit you to be able to move.
Yeah, definitely, it'd have to be the right club. I wouldn't just step up to any club if the opportunity come. There's a lot of clubs in Furlough 1, for example, which I don't think, they're playing a higher level than Old Newton, but they're nowhere near as well run as Old Newton, and the facilities at Old Newton are probably better than some of the facilities in Furlough, apart from the lights. So it's one of them. It'd have to be the right club. I wouldn't just jump ship at the first opportunity that come along. But
definitely. Sorry, Adam, what were you about to say?
No, what I was going to say is it seems like to you the off the pitch is massively important as well as the on the pitch. Would you say that's a fair sort of assessment of yourself as a person in football?
I always base football on having a good time with your mates, enjoying it. If you have a good team spirit and a good change room, most teams who you see have got a good change room and a good team spirit. They're building success and they're moving forward because they're a good group of lads and they stick together no matter what. So it does. I think if you start with a change room, build a decent group of lads who want to fight for each other and have a laugh and have a drink together, even go out for a few nights out together, that gets you a few points no matter what.
Yeah, definitely great stuff. I'll tell you what, let's get into some Twitter questions, shall we? I don't know if you've read any of them, Macca.
No, I try and ignore them, mate, because I bet you get some silly questions come up.
Well,
it's a mix.
We've had a few on here. I'm going to start with Ben Moore. He's a regular listener to the podcast. If you are listening to this one as well, Ben, cheers for your continued support. He says, any tips for a young coach like myself? I'm trying to follow in my great-granddad Bob Coleman's footsteps. So we'll start off with that first point. He said, any tips for a young coach? What would be your kind of main points if you were speaking to someone like Ben?
Just be truthful with your players and be honest. And, put an arm around them when they need an arm around them. But at the end of the day, they need to be told. And I'm a great believer as if someone's not playing very well, you can tell some players, but they need to be told where they've got to be improving and stuff like that. You can't be too soft. Some managers are too soft, I believe. But just be yourself.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And he said, best player you've coached or played with?
Well, that's one right on the played with. I played with a lot of players as well. Best player I've coached.
Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Well, I've only been managing 3 years, so I'd probably say Joji Kagaguchi. He's
Okay.
a very intelligent player.
Yeah.
Very committed, turns up, and he doesn't very often lose the ball, and he's got a very good football brain, so he's easy to manage. He'll like me saying that.
Stuart's got in contact saying, ask him what qualities his current chairman has.
I see that one.
How has he supported him?
He's all right. I'll let him. He's all right. Yeah, he's been. To be fair, as a chairman, he is top notch. I can ring him. He doesn't answer. He'll ring me back within like 5 or 10 minutes, and I can put him on the spot. I can ask him anything if I need anything. He'll get it done for me. He's been brilliant. He's probably been one of the main reasons why Old Newton have had a bit of success over the 3 years and moving forward as a club, because he's made the club as it is. So yeah,
brilliant stuff. Melton United. Ask him where his team's SIL 5K challenge times are. Have you? You've already talked about
it if he wants. I'll make some up tonight if he wants.
Can you do a 14-minute?
I think we had a lad do 16 the other day. I'll put that on there. I can't remember. I think it's Ben Robinson done 16 minutes. I'm not convinced. I'm so not convinced on some of them times. I'm going to get grilled here, but I'm not having it.
Someone said the other day. Did you see on Twitter, James? So someone said the other day that there's probably people out there like sprinting a kilometre and having a 1 hour rest before doing another sprint.
I don't know how people are recording these, but
you can record them on an app, and if you pause it, it tells you. But there's no proof of them times, is there? Someone's just written on a bit of paper and put 19 minutes 23 seconds. Well, where's the proof of the actual app? There's no app, is there?
People are going to be doing it for banner as well, aren't they?
Oh, definitely, 100%. And they're probably waiting for someone to chirp up. And I'll just say I don't believe it.
That's the thing. All it takes is for you to get into your gear, take a picture of you at the bottom of your road, going, "Yep, now about to go."
In your brand new Asics.
Later, post another picture. Here I am.
Do it on your bike.
Yeah. Exactly. Any chance that Old Newton are going to get involved in this?
It's hard enough getting them to do anything, mate, let alone do 5K.
We've got Dean Cooper who said, ask him if his squad will be added to, and also next season where he believes that they can finish in any cup runs. Obviously, squad being added to, we've kind of briefly talked about it, but I suppose now that you've had a crack at the SIL and you've done very, very well on it, what are your aspirations for next season? Where do you kind of want this squad finishing? Would you say top 4 again is another aim, or now that you've had a go at it, do you think you want to be going for the title?
Well, I think if you speak to the players and ask them what they want to do and how they think this season's gone, there's only one position they want to go now, and that's one step further, and that's to win the league. Can we do it? I don't see why not, judging by how we were finishing and the games we were playing. But then you've got to keep the same squad of players. Plus, I will add, to answer the question, I am going to add a few to my team, So there's only one position, and we need to put pressure on the top teams, and that's Cranes at the moment. And we can see where we've got to get to, and that's the target. So,
what were your results against Cranes last season? How did you get on against them last year? I genuinely don't know.
We played them and we lost 2-1. You filmed that game, didn't you, James? Not making any excuses. They battered us first half, absolutely battered us. But I'd like to have played them again with a squad of players that we could have had. Because I think when they played us, they had their strongest squad. What they had against us was probably their strongest squad. But I know that we had at least 3 or 4. Callum Dongray missing, who's centre half, who scored 9 goals. Jordan Southgate, Tom Driscoll, who's come in from Hadley, and there was another player as well. Which there's no excuses. You play who you play on the day, but I'd like to have played it. I'd like to have played them again just to see where we were at with a full team.
Yeah, And I suppose at the tail end of that question, I was asking about cup runs as well. For a club like Old Newton, are cup runs kind of discussed amongst everyone? Is it just kind of one of those things you kind of see how they progress bit by bit, or is league like the main kind of aspiration?
No, I want to win everything. So yeah. Cup runs. Everyone wants to have a cup run and have a good away days on buses and have enjoy. We were disappointed as a team last year to go out of the cups in the quarterfinals. 1 to Ipswich Wanderers, which we give them the goal, which was our mistake. And anyone watching the game, we should have won that game, but we didn't. So we went out of that, and then to Bourne Vale, we just didn't turn up against Bourne Vale, and they turned up and worked their socks off and beat us in the end. So yeah, cup games are anyone's. Like I say to them in the change room, it's whoever wants it on the day, and we weren't there on them 2 days, and we didn't win them. Yeah. So I want to go as far as we can. Everyone's go do well in the Senior Cup, don't they? It's obvious, but
yeah,
why not do well in the League Cup as well and get some silverware to you?
Yeah. And the only reason I ask that is because I do speak to some managers where they're not really that bothered about the cup competitions. They'll kind of worry about it if they get to, the sort of like semi-final kind of stage. But a lot of them do kind of just emphasise the league for whatever reason. So just curious to kind of see where Old Newton was at as a club.
Most every club wants to win a cup. That's a bottler's way out saying that, because every club wants to win a cup, don't they, or win a trophy. You can't say I don't want to win a cup.
Cup days are pretty magical as a fan.
They are.
There's something about it.
Every club goes into a cup wanting to win it, don't they?
Yeah.
Unless they're struggling for relegation and then they're concentrating on staying up. But most clubs want to win a cup, don't they, and go on a cup run and have away days and stuff like that.
Yeah, you would think so, but there we go. So there are your Twitter questions. Thanks, guys, for sending those in. Really do appreciate it. You've got more questions asked to you, Macca, than Luke Chadwick did, so well done. You've obviously got some sort of pull within the SIL. Fair play to you. There we go. So,
It's been nice to talk SIL as well. I just wish you all the best over the course of the summer and maybe some of the winter, if that's out what it takes before we get back together. I mean, it sounds like you know what you're doing in terms of next season, and I think it's good to know that people are still thinking about the things they're passionate about and not having to occupy every single day with what is quite a negative thing right now.
Yeah, definitely. No, cheers, Mac. I appreciate your time coming on to the podcast, and I really, really do appreciate it. And again, thank you for everyone who sent in their Twitter questions. It's really good. And as Adam said, just nice to talk SIL rather than talking about Premier League and EFL on most of these podcasts.
It's all got a bit crazy for us, hasn't it, lately? Like, it started off as just the two of us just talking about local football games that are happening each week, and we've successfully got people talking about every sort of level of football now, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it is important. As much as I don't want to talk about the divisions higher up, they do have a massive impact on what kind of happens down at our level of football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how things play out now, because if the Premier League and EFL do decide to kickstart their seasons again, grassroots football is just going to be left in limbo, isn't it? We can't start a new season until they figured out what they're doing. So,
and the Dutch leagues got void yesterday, so
did it?
Yeah, around the world there's different things happening. At some point we need to talk about what's going to happen with things like European qualification places and stuff like that, because there's all sorts of things that could be affected further up the chain that we don't have to think about, obviously, at our local level. Like, cup qualification is kind of something that some of the cups you choose if you even want to be in them. So yeah, there's a few things higher up we've still got to touch on, and there's still interesting weeks ahead before we start being able to move on some different topics, which I'm sure are going to appear within the football landscape.
Definitely.
Another thing that makes me laugh at the moment is the Suffolk FA are asking clubs to affiliate for the leagues next year and pay their affiliation fees and stuff like that. Well, how do they know when it's going to start or if it's going to start? I can't see how they can make that call.
Yeah, I mean, asking for clubs for money at the moment, like I'm happy to put my hand up and say it's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't matter what they're asking them for, but asking for clubs for money at the moment is just an absolute farce.
It's interesting on that part because we see loads of different leagues in different counties across the country who are saying, "Don't worry about it. We're just going to scrap those kind of things for next year." We've seen, you tag me in stuff on a regular basis, Adam, where leagues are just saying, "Look, don't worry about the admin fees. Don't worry about the cup fees. We'll
bin it.
We'll sort next season out and work together." It's, I don't want to say call the Suffolk FA out or anything, but that's a bit of a.
I think Suffolk FA have been quite quiet compared to other people. I noticed they did say that there was a Suffolk FA tweet put out saying there was a financial care package being launched, which is something that we'll look at another day when we hear more details about it. But that'll be interesting to see what that actually means, because that could affect some of those fees and how those are spread amongst the leagues.
Yeah. Good point on that one, to be honest. We'll talk about that next time. But again, Macca, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate.
If you've enjoyed the podcast, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you are listening to this on anything other than YouTube, if you can leave us a 5-star review, that'd be very much appreciated on any of your podcasting platforms. And until next time, as always, adios.